Hello everyone. In the present video, I will discuss about Michel Foucault's concept of madness and civilization. We have to understand these concepts uh, in the context of discourse and the knowledge. When we discuss about discourse, then we have to take reference of his conceptual framework like episteme. So, discourse, according to Michel Foucault, is the episteme of different stages of human society. Human society passed through many stages. All the stages are characterized by a particular episteme. Now, what does episteme means? Episteme means a common underlying framework or common underlying knowledge base on which society is founded or social functioning is founded or operation of society is founded. So when we discuss about the transition of the pre-modern society to modern society to the post-modern society, it's basically the change in the episteme, that is, change in the common underlying framework of operation and functioning or common underlying the knowledge base of the society. So, episteme changes over the time. So, society changes, that is, new stages comes in. So, one episteme replaces another episteme. So, whenever any new episteme comes in, it replaces the existing episteme. So, episteme establish itself by excluding the existing one or existing episteme. So, to use or apply this concept of epistemic dimension of discourse in the madness and civilization, then we can say that the very concept of madness is not the uniform, static, or fixed one. Rather, it changed over the stages of the human society. It changed over the time historically. Why? Because of the epistemic shift. So Michel Foucault argued that the concept of madness in the traditional society was something related to the common functioning of the human beings, common behavior of human beings. It was simply be treated as behavior, a part of the life, part of the human actions, which may have some difference, but it was used to be considered as a common behavioral variations in a particular society. Then it also used to be treated as an artistic variation, artistic expression. That is uh, how the artistic behavior and expression can be different from the usual one. So madness was never a issue or problem for the society the traditional time, or that is in that episteme, because the discourse, that is epistemic discourse, was framed in such a way that it used to be treated normal. But over the time, what Michel Foucault said, that it is uh, being part of the institutions, that is, this madness became part of the institutions, like institutions of the medical institution of medicine as a knowledge, then the prison, then other various bureaucratic and political organizations to differentiate the normal behavior and the madness. So, madness became something different, unusual from the existing behavioral pattern of the society or expected pattern of the society. So, what he said, that is what Michel Foucault said, is that institutional regulations of the madness, that is, society institutionalized the issue of madness and defined the madness in a way that it needs the intervention. It needs institutional intervention. So, this particular transition can be understood as a change in the discourse, change in the epistemic discourse. That is how knowledge base of the traditional society used to treat madness and how it changed over the time. And the new epistemic discourse changed the understanding of madness. And then further it advanced, that is further society advanced and complexed. So now the madness is a subject of medical science, subject of medicine. So the clinical intervention introduced, that is madness is something disease that it has to be treated clinically. So further advancement, further specialized knowledge framework that defined madness and regulated the peoples who are labeled as mad. So society over the time changes its epistemic discourse and regulate the human behavior and set the new standard norms, that is what is expected and what is something unusual. So when there is a discrepancy between expected behavior and the people's actual action, then it arises then there arises the issue of madness and what it calls a civilization. Here civilization is not about the civilization as a stage of the society, but civilization as a conceptual framework or a notion that describe that how a human behavior, how a human society, or how a human reality uh, can be considered as something rational, something perfect, something absolute, something uniformly accepted, institutionalized, and legitimate. So, madness is something which is not acceptable, not meeting the expected standard of the societal behavior. So, it is contradicting the civilizational idea of the behavior. Civilizational is something common standard norms of the society, common standard behavioral pattern of the society. So then further, we can take this concept of madness and civilization in the very contemporary context, that is understanding of mental health, happiness, life satisfaction. So now the mental health has become a new subject of analysis, study, understanding. So various fields emerged again. The various knowledge base also emerged. It's not just limited to the clinical medical departments or in the part, it's not limited to the hospital, the medical science, rather it is now become one of the important area in the study of psychology, in the other social science discipline, and different subjects, experts, specialized individuals are defining the mental health in different way. For example, the depression, the anxiety, so which are considered as something unusual, different from the standard pattern of the behavior. So they are being treated either clinically or through the psychological interventions or the experts, that is specialized psychologists intervention or the counselors interventions and so on. So how this modern or the contemporary definition of mental health is the reproduction of the Michel Foucault's idea of madness and civilization, and this is actually the legitimation of different fields, the knowledge of different fields, or the epistemic discourse of different stages of the human society.